You know, gang, some mornings I'm lucky in the sense I give myself an opportunity to get out here into nature first thing in the morning. You know, get my hands dirty with the soil, smell the fresh cut grass, listen to some birds getting on with the cacophony of their day. And it helps to get for a strong start. Strong start before I give myself away to the rest of the world. Every once in a while, I'm lucky enough, I get a little lightning bolt of clarity that manifests in a little inspiration. Hit me this morning. I hit the big red plunger on record in the hopes that this finds just one person. Now, for me, what I realized is that it's all about the start. And what I mean by that is I kind of have a master's in the art of the start. You know, first, personally, in the sense that this is a 40-year-old face here talking back at you in the camera. Apologies up front. But for me, the 20s were for having fun. The 30s were for figuring it all out. And the 40s, well, the 40s needed to be for doing. And you might be like, okay, well, 40, okay, it's a little backwards. Why did it took you till 40 to figure that out? And the truth is that it's really intoxicating to prepare. The preparation is incredibly powerful and intoxicating. It feels like there's always one more book to read before getting started, always one more guru to find, one more thought leader to immerse myself in, one more podcast to listen to, right? The intoxication and the allure of never being good enough yet and having that postpone the perfection of a start is a dangerous thing. Now, I say I have a master's in it, not just from my own personal accord, but also in the sense that we've been the tribunal leaders holding the flag high for all the first-time home buyers, first-time home sellers, and folks interested in actually making that shift into the green revolution of lifestyle. And man, has there ever been anything more fraught with resistance of starting than those three categories? So here's the good news. The good news is that if you're watching this right now, you probably have already developed the impetus of the why. That's the hard part. Guess what? The easy part, which is the thing that most people get hung up on, is the how. And I'm telling you that the answer is not in the how. The answer is in the who. Let me explain. All these things have formulas. Now, it took me a long time to figure all these formulas out. And the truth is, on the backs and shoulders of probably doing it wrong for the better half of those last 2 decades. But what we've arrived at now is the sense that this doesn't need to be any more complicated than a game like strategy. Like, for example, let's talk about wealth creation. What's the formula? 4 greenhouses and a red hotel. It's actually embedded inside why we're called the Greenhouse Group as a company in the first place. Oh, what about the buyer itself, right? So, okay, raise my hand, I want to go be a buyer. Well, the formula that's out there for you for most traditional agents is meet you at Starbucks at 9 a.m., go show you as many homes until you're bleary-eyed. Hopefully, you sign hard on your contract on the hood of the car before you go home that night. Now, formulaically speaking, that's probably more like a wandering generality. The purpose, thus the person with specific purpose and intent is the one who wins that, right? So instead of that, how about 6 steps, right? How about having a planning session for both mortgage plan, real estate plan, getting real clear about that, investing a good 3 hours in the plan before you ever get out there and start seeing homes yet. And then when you do start seeing homes, you see them with no intention of actually buying those homes that day. Like little scientists, you're grading them and rating them and comparing them, contrasting them, getting educated on the market before you finally get in as a buyer in earnest. And then it's 3 success hacks before you get to a contract. Unless you think the contract is the end game, well, there's 6 more victories before you're going to get your keys. Every single one of them chronologically has to happen in front of the next one to go on to the next one before you can move on to get to the keys. Now, when you stand atop that mountain as a buyer, the air is rare, rarer than it's ever been before, and the vista is amazing, but most importantly so, because you're not standing next to your own buyer's remorse. That's legacy play. Well, so how about when you go to sell, right? So what's the formula that's out there for most agents? Well, it's the 4 Ps. You price it really low, right? Make yourself look good. You put a sign in the front yard, you put it on the MLS, and then you pray it sells. Well, there's a scoreboard for that, right? How about instead you do all of the work up in advance before you ever hit the big red plunger of go and launch to the market? How about you use the checkbook, calendar, and red pen method in order to make sure that, but when you do sell, you're going to make sure you leave no money left on the table. You very strategically best in class your home so that when it does come time for scoreboard, you're selling it a sixth of the time of the average agent in town, and you're selling it for about 4 to 5% more than every other average agent in town. Basically, in a sense, paying for ourselves, right? So it's about the start. It's about the work you do in advance in both buyer and seller capacities to make sure that the end game goes well. This might sound novel to some or none or most, but gang, this is the exact antithesis of all the other practitioners out there that are doing what it is that we do. Well, okay, so what about green lifestyle then? So green lifestyle, how do you start that? What, you go put some solar panels on the roof? Maybe. Well, how about a very formulaic approach to understand that it's about the 6 tenets instead? It is about energy efficiency, but it's also about water efficiency, about indoor air quality. It's about reduced, recycled, reused materials. It's about managing and monitoring your EQ, your green effectiveness quotient. And then walls in, it's about making sure you're using smart home technology, using all the different gadgets and stuff right now to make green living easier on you. Now, the thing I'm most proud of all is the how, the formulaic approach. And whether you're buying, whether you're selling, whether you're borrowing, for us, it's always going to be a 6-step process. It's going to be a minimum of a 5-to-1 ratio of team to client. There's going to be 4 promises that we always make. And when we deliver, there's going to be 3 asks that we have of you. When you're a referral-based business, you're always serving 2 masters. And then it's 1 why, 1 purpose, 1 team with no excuses. Now, gang, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago, right? Well, when's the next best time? Right now. And when you do, don't worry about the how. Worry about the who. Because if you get the who right and you have the why, the how takes care of itself. So gang, this is an insight and an awareness about the start. How you start is usually directly proportional to how you finish. So start well, start strong, end well. And when you do, make sure that you pick the right who.